just get up here. Okay. Hi, everybody. Welcome to today's webinar. I'm Joanna Ransdell from CAPS. I'm a social worker with Counseling and Psychological Services over at UM-Dearborn. I'm really happy that you could join me today for some guided meditation practice that stems from a place of increasing love and kindness for ourselves and others. I hope that you find today's presentation to be beneficial to you, and I hope that you get something out of it. I am going to go ahead and start up a presentation. So we're going to do a little bit of talking about what love and kindness is, what meditation is, a little bit of an intro to the topic, watch a little video, and then we're going to end with meditation today. If you have questions throughout, please feel free to use the Q&A. I will not use anybody's name, but I will answer questions live if you guys have any information you'd like to know, or if anything's unclear. I'd love your participation. All right, so here we go. And we're going to start up our PowerPoint. All right, so I kind of just want to make sure something, you guys, sorry, I'm going to be radically honest and say that I sometimes struggle with this format. Okay, here we go. So today's presentation is about loving kindness meditation. And this is one form of meditation practice that I think is really fun to do, really beneficial for our hearts and our minds and our spirits. So I really thank you for being open to this practice today. I hope that it's fun for you as well, because I've definitely really enjoyed integrating this into my life, and I use this one regularly, and it's great. So for this workshop, I will ask you to grab these things if you do not have them on hand currently. You will need something to write with. We're going to do a bit of writing today, and obviously something to write on. I would recommend some sort of lined paper, and I'm going to do the same. I'm going to be writing with you. I also would ask you to find, if possible, a quiet place where you won't be disturbed, because we are going to be meditating. So that is best done in a space that is quiet, in a space that you can be alone and kind of go inward without distractions. Also, please bring an open heart. I'm sure I don't have to tell you guys that if you're here, if you saw this practice being offered, I'm sure you already have an open heart, but really opening your heart and opening your mind to the information, and also to what experiences that you might have with this yourself. So let's begin with a little bit of gratitude practice to get us in the right headspace for this type of mindfulness, right? So gratitude really means just kind of taking a moment to take stock of the things in your life you're happy for or you're thankful for. And there's all sorts of wonderful psychological benefits to regular gratitude practice. Even just writing down 3 things you're grateful for every day can do wonders for your psychological health. But we're going to do this today by picking a person in your life who has made a positive impact on your life, who also brings up positive emotions when you think of them. So for this exercise, I want to really strongly recommend that you choose someone A, who brings up positive emotions, who's not going to make you feel like really sad to think about, or a sense of loss. I'd really also recommend you pick somebody who is still with us in the physical world, somebody who is living, and I'll tell you why later, but somebody who's living, please. And now I'm going to set a timer for 5 minutes. So hopefully you have that writing utensil handy and that paper to write on. So go ahead and take the next 5 minutes, and I'm going to do this with you, to write a letter to express gratitude to this person. You don't have to send this to them, so this is really just for you. But go ahead and just write as though you're kind of writing a letter to this person, expressing what you're grateful for. So I'm getting our timer set up here. So go ahead and grab your writing supplies, and we will start the clock now. So taking about 5 minutes to do that. So we're about halfway through the exercise. Just want to let you know. Um, Remember, don't write a novel or anything like that. Um, really just focus on the big things you want to express to this person. So about 2.5 minutes left. Okay, about 40 seconds left. You might want to finish up the last couple sentences you're writing. All right, 15 seconds. Finishing up that last sentence. And that's our time. I feel great actually writing that. That was really nice for me. How was it for you? Anybody want to share? Feel free to put in the Q&A or the comments what that experience was like for you. If you're just joining us, we just wrote a brief letter of gratitude to, I mean, you can probably see, you can read the presentation. That's what we just did. So feel free, if you're joining us now, to maybe do that for yourself after the presentation or whenever you feel called to do it. I always love that exercise because it really helps me put things into perspective, that there are people in my life who really care for me, who I really care for and love unconditionally. And those relationships as positive people in our life, they really just help make life worth living, right? So I hope that that brought up some positive emotions for you to get yourself in a good headspace of feelings of love, feelings of gratitude. Sometimes this exercise can actually be kind of sad for people or maybe be difficult for people. And if that was your experience, that's 100% valid as well. And you're not alone. I've done this in live groups before, and some people share that there's negative emotions that can come from this, and that's okay too. But regardless, thank you for practicing some gratitude. Now let's get started with today's topic. So again, name of this presentation is Loving Kindness Meditation. And you may or may not have heard that term, loving kindness, before. Some of you maybe are regular meditators. Some of you maybe have never or very rarely practiced meditation. So loving kindness is a form of meditation, right? So what is meditation? First of all, meditation and mindfulness often get kind of lumped into one term or one category, and they're a little bit different. So mindfulness is the ability to be present with your internal environment, including your body sensations, your thoughts and emotions, as well as your external environment, what's happening around you. To be in tune with that without judgment, without attaching to it. So meditation is the formal practice of bringing a sense of mindfulness. So meditation is to mindfulness what exercise is to fitness. So it's a formal type of meditation, but it's specifically focused on wishing well to yourself and others. And we're going to practice it today. It's derived from Buddhism. So kind of Buddhist principles of treat others with a sense of kindness and a sense of respect. But of course, I think this philosophy really fits in with other spiritual traditions, other religious traditions, or it doesn't have to be religious. It can be just a secular practice because science shows that this practice is beneficial to us. So you don't have to be religious to practice it. But it's meant to increase love and compassion for yourself and for others. So why practice loving kindness? Why is it helpful to us? The first is it really increases pleasant emotions. Ooh, I messed up this slide. So increase in pleasant emotions, decrease in things like envy, jealousy, resentment, things of that nature, can help us work towards forgiveness. Forgiveness can be really healthy to practice. Of course, there's all sorts of difficulty that comes with forgiveness, but when we're practicing loving kindness, we're usually able to cultivate more joy, more happiness, more sense of connection, which can be really positive for us on a psychological and mental health level, as well as a physical level. It's a skill that all of us can learn. I think this is really important to point out. A lot of times we think of kindness as like a trait that you either have or you don't, or some people are kind, other people are not. I think kindness, every human, maybe not every human, I'm not sure, but most of us have the capacity to be kind. And it's something we can learn. It's easier to learn when we're younger, but if you're somebody who struggles with feeling empathy for others, if you're someone who struggles to really put yourself in other people's shoes or practice kindness, that's okay, because it's a skill that you can practice. It also requires mindfulness, right? How are you going to be loving and kind and compassionate to others if you can't be present with them? So mindfulness practice, just regular meditation, regular mindfulness practice in itself can increase empathy, can increase loving kindness. So you don't even have to do this type of meditation. You can just do regular meditation. These things, kindness and empathy, benefit us personally and collectively, right? So it helps us with our own emotional health, but also as a society, right? When we're more kind, when we're more able to be care about the experiences of others, we're usually able to lift each other up as a society. I think this is something we really need now as we're in a global crisis, right? And I think we're seeing it. We're seeing people who really want to help others and are really stepping up right now. Healthcare workers, right? People who are just donating and making masks for other people and all sorts of things, right? We're seeing a lot of kindness come out with people. So I think that's important to recognize, that it helps us on a collective human level. Also think about hate and think about ill will, so wishing others harm. That's not only harmful to other people, but also to ourselves. When you think of how hate feels in the body, it's like a tightness, it's like a tensing up in the muscles, and you just kind of feel sick almost. It's like, it's not a pleasant feeling to be hateful, right? So that's something to think about. Like, if you're holding resentments, is there a way you can challenge yourself to let go of some of those? Because there's a phrase, there's a quote I really like: resentment is like drinking poison and hoping the other person dies, right? Because it's really more harmful to you than anybody to hold those feelings of bitterness towards others. And of course, a lot of those feelings may be valid, and it might take a lot of work to let go of some of those feelings, but at the same time, it can be beneficial. Hello, if you're just joining us, I see we have maybe a couple of new people, so thank you for joining us. So I want to talk a little bit about terminology in terms of what loving kindness practice can increase and can help us cultivate. The first is love, and that is a very heterogeneous term, right? It has a lot of different meanings to us. We have many different kinds of love. We have friendship love, love for our family, love for our romantic partner, love for our hobbies, love for hopefully ourselves to some extent. But what does love really mean? The way the Buddhists defined it in the terminology of loving kindness is that it's not specifically just for people we know or people we have good experiences with. It's a state of wishing well to every being in the universe, like a general wish for wellness. Even people you don't know, even people you don't like, it's wishing them well, right? It's wishing that they get what they want and they find happiness and they're safe and they're healthy. This type of philosophy can be very healing. But I also think some people may have a reaction to it. Like, do I really need to send love to all beings? Does every being deserve love? So I ask you, like, to meditate on that, right? Why wish well for all beings? Why is that beneficial? It's arguable that it's beneficial to ourselves, right? Because when you just took that moment at the beginning of this practice and you thought about how much you loved this person and you wrote that letter of gratitude, how did it make you feel? If it made you feel good, there's a chance that that sense of love, that sense of care towards others makes you feel good. So this type of practice can really benefit you as well as others. What is compassion? Compassion is a specific type of caring for another person. It's when you're present and caring towards another person's suffering. So compassion is ability to like sit with the discomfort of somebody else's pain. This is really hard, right? A lot of times when somebody tells us something really difficult they're going through or some kind of loss or pain they're in, our first instinct is try to make them feel better. But that's not always really what that person needs. Sometimes people just need us to be present with them, right? I know for myself, if I'm really angry or I'm really upset about something, sometimes I just want my people in my life to just listen and hear me out, right? And I wonder if that's true for you. Do you ever have experiences where you're like talking to somebody about something you're going through and you're just, oh, I'm in this place of just frustration or sadness, and then they just keep trying to be like, well, cheer up or think of it positively. Is that really what you want or need? Sometimes that can feel a little bit invalidating, right? But it comes from a good place. People are trying to make us feel better because they don't want to see us in pain. They care about us. But at the same time, sometimes we just really need people who can sit with the discomfort of our emotions and just be present with us and be like, yeah, that sucks. Like, tell me more. Like, I can totally see why you feel that way. Or just listening. That's so powerful. To be truly compassionate is to be present with somebody suffering in a way that you don't feel like you have to change it or fix it. What is empathy? Empathy is the ability to just recognize and be present with somebody else's emotions and perspective, right? And it's important for our relationships to have empathy. If you can't see from another person's perspective, if you can't kind of know what it's like in their shoes a little bit, it's really hard to connect. It's really hard to cultivate a really beneficial relationship. So empathy is a super important skill, and it's a skill that we can learn if it's not our strong suit. Kindness is really about behavior more than like these internal things like empathy and compassion. It's behavior that stems from love and empathy, right? So when you're kind, you're like, I want to do something that's going to help that person because it's coming from a place of wishing them well and being able to understand what they're going through with empathy. Sympathetic joy is also a really cool concept. It's something hopefully all of us have experienced. Have you ever had a friend just like have this amazing success or get something that they've wanted, that they've worked really hard for, and then you feel joy for them? That's like a really amazing feeling, right? So sympathetic joy is when we're happy for the accomplishments and the joy and the achievements of somebody else, even if we're not directly experiencing it. It's kind of the antithesis to envy, right? Envy is when we're like, oh, I wish I had that thing that that person has. Whereas sympathetic joy is like, yeah, I'm so happy for them that they're happy, right? How does envy feel versus sympathetic joy? If you just think about that for yourself, right? I would personally rather feel sympathetic joy than envy. I don't know about y'all. Okay, so moving forward, I want to show a video and it's having a hard time embedding it in this presentation, so I'm gonna click out of it. I think we'll just have to watch it on here. Okay, I'm gonna share my sound. Hold on.
So what is empathy, and why is it very different than sympathy? Empathy fuels connection. Sympathy drives disconnection. Empathy, it's very interesting. Teresa Wiseman is a nursing scholar who studied professions, very diverse professions where empathy is relevant, and came up with 4 qualities of empathy. Perspective taking, the ability to take the perspective of another person or recognize their perspective as their truth. Staying out of judgment, not easy when you enjoy it as much as most of us do. Recognizing emotion in other people and then communicating that. Empathy is feeling with people. And to me, I always think of empathy as this kind of sacred space when someone's kind of in a deep hole and they shout out from the bottom and they say, I'm stuck, it's dark, I'm overwhelmed. And then we look and we say, hey, I'm down. I know what it's like down here. And you're not alone. Sympathy is, ooh, it's bad, no, You want a sandwich? Empathy is a choice, and it's a vulnerable choice, because in order to connect with you, I have to connect with something in myself that knows that feeling. Rarely, if ever, does an empathic response begin with "at least." I had it, yeah. And we do it all the time, because you know what? Someone just shared something with us that's incredibly painful, and we're trying to silver lining it. I don't think that's a verb, but I'm using it as one. We're trying to put the silver lining around it. So I had a miscarriage. Oh, at least you know you can get pregnant. I think my marriage is falling apart. At least you have a marriage. John's getting kicked out of school. At least Sarah is an A student. But one of the things we do sometimes in the face of very difficult conversations is we try to make things better. If I share something with you that's very difficult, I'd rather you say, "I don't even know what to say right now. I'm just so glad you told me." Because the truth is, rarely can a response make something better. What makes something better is connection.
All right. I love that video. So that's from Brene Brown. If you don't know Brene Brown, she's awesome. I highly recommend her books, especially Daring Greatly. It's a really good one. But yeah, that's her take on empathy. I just think that's a really nice video to demonstrate that concept. So back to our presentation. So now we're going to do some of our own practice. So before we do our loving kindness meditation, which I will walk you through, a couple things to prepare. First, I want you to write down one thing you like about yourself, because part of our meditation is going to be practicing self-love. So I want to get you in that frame of mind to practice a little bit of self-compassion, self-love. This can be hard for some people, so I get that. But I'm betting that if you think hard and you really go inward, you can think of at least one thing you like about yourself. So big or small, what's one thing that you can write down? Next, you're going to write down, please, the name of a loved one, somebody who you already love. It could be the person you wrote your letter to, or it could be somebody different, but whoever you can just think of who's a loved one to you, who's important to you. Also write down a neutral person or an acquaintance. So this should be a person you really don't have any strong feelings, positive or negative, towards. So maybe somebody who, you know, was ringing you up at the grocery store, a receptionist you dealt with at the doctor's office, your veterinarian. I mean, I don't know. Actually, I really like my veterinarians. That wouldn't work for me. So it's somebody who's kind of just neutral to you. So write down that person. You don't even have to know their name. They could be kind of a stranger. And then write down the name of a person or someone who you mildly dislike or find annoying or frustrating. Don't pick somebody who I'm not going to tell you what to do, but I highly recommend you don't pick someone you really, really struggle with or have intense feelings of dislike towards, or somebody especially who maybe hurt you, traumatized you in some way, because I want this practice to be safe for you and for it to not bring up too much intense emotion. So I'd recommend picking maybe, is there somebody who you just don't really get along with? Maybe somebody who frustrates you slightly or you find a little bit hard to deal with or like. Yeah, so pick that person. And for each of those 3 people you listed, we are going to utilize visualization with those people in mind for today's practice. So let us begin. I'm going to just get out of this presentation and just kind of go back to regular video. So let us begin by getting ourselves in a nice mindful posture. So hopefully you're sitting in a chair or a comfortable seat. You can also lie down on a couch if that feels comfortable to you. Wherever you feel comfortable. If you're sitting down, maybe putting your feet on the floor so that you're feeling grounded in the earth moment. You can sit up kind of alert, so with a straight back, but not a really stick straight back, so not tense, but just kind of alert, kind of upright. Hands can be palms facing upwards or downwards on your knees, whatever you choose, it's up to you. You can close your eyes if that feels comfortable, or you can leave them open. If you do leave them open, maybe just slightly lowering your gaze, looking downward so that you can avoid being distracted. And let us begin by taking a few nice cleansing breaths together. So we're going to breathe in through the nose. Full inhale and exhale, fully let it all go. And inhale through the nose. Exhale fully. Breathe in deeply. Exhale fully. And you can just now let your breathing return to normal. Just noticing the rise and fall of your belly, or the sensation of the breath coming in through the nostrils, out through the mouth. And if any thoughts, any emotions, any distractions come into your mind today, I want to invite you to be without judgment towards those experiences. I want you to allow yourself to be human, right? Maybe radically accepting that nobody's going to be perfect at this. We all get distracted, and that's okay. But if you notice you've gotten off track, I encourage you to just root back into the breath and the present moment as best as you can. So starting with closing your eyes if you want, or looking down, think of an image of yourself as though you're kind of just looking at yourself in the mirror. Once you've kind of cultivated that image of yourself in your mind or out loud, you can say to yourself, may I be happy, may I be healthy, may I be safe, may I live with ease. Once again, may I be happy, may I be healthy, may I be safe, may I live with ease. And just noticing any thoughts, any feelings, any experiences you're having is perfectly okay. Don't need to change anything, don't need to force yourself to feel or do anything right now. And on your next exhale, you can let that image of yourself dissolve, wishing yourself love and kindness. As you now bring your attention to the image of a loved one, that person that you thought of or listed as your loved one. And once you have this image of this person in your mind, you can look at them in your mind and go ahead and say to them, may you be happy, May you be healthy. May you be safe. May you live with ease. May you be happy. May you be healthy. May you be safe. May you live with ease. And sending that loving kindness to them. On your next exhale, letting that image dissolve from your mind, letting it fade away like a cloud in the sky. And now bringing your mind's attention to bring up an image of that neutral person that you thought of, an acquaintance, a stranger, somebody you feel kind of neutral about. And once you have that person in mind, you can say to them, in your mind or out loud, may you be happy, may you be healthy, may you be safe, may you live with ease. May you be happy, may you be healthy, may you be safe, may you live with ease. And on your next exhale, letting that image go, letting it float away, letting that person kind of dissolve from your mind. As you now bring your mind's attention to the image of a person you find difficult, a person you may not necessarily find that easy to like. We all have got that person. Don't lie, you've got that person. So in your mind, you can look at that person and out loud or to yourself, you can say to them, may you be happy, may you be healthy, may you be safe, may you live with ease. May you be happy, may you be healthy, may you be safe, may you live with ease. And whatever emotions or thoughts this brings up or doesn't bring up, perfectly valid and okay. There's no wrong or right way to do this. Now you can let go of the thoughts of that person. And if you'd like, now you can visualize the center of your heart with a gold light. Think of this gold light starting to shine within your heart. You can even place a hand on the heart for this part. Breathing with this gold light. Now see it in your mind expanding, emanating throughout your whole body, filling up the room that you're in. This gold, warm, loving light. Seeing it continue to expand. Seeing it go outside your house or apartment or wherever you are right now and cover the streets and the houses in the city or the town that you live in. Traveling to all the hospitals, the places in your community where people may be suffering, facing hardship. Covering all of your community, eventually the whole state, and then the whole country, all of North America, or wherever you are in the world. Breaking the borders of the continent, covering the oceans, all the other continents, and enveloping now the whole world. Just taking a moment to sit with this warm golden light, so powerful, so loving. Cover up the whole world. I'm thinking of the entire planet right now. Wishing in your mind, may you be happy, may you be healthy, may you be safe, may you live with ease. And if you'd like, you can start to feel the weight of your body in the chair or the surface that you're lying on. Introducing small movements back into your body, wiggling your fingers and toes, circling your ankles and wrists, taking a big stretch, arms above the head if you'd like. Standing up, stretching anything that feels good, and of course, when you're ready, opening your eyes. All right, thank you guys for practicing. If there are any questions, I'll stick around for a moment. But I want to thank you for being a part of this workshop. Please know that CAPS is offering daily workshops, sometimes multiple times a day. So please check our website for the different topics and workshops we're going to be offering. And wishing you well moving forward. Have a wonderful day, everybody.